Child's pose is often offered as a place of rest, a pause button in the middle of an intense vinyasa class, or a grounding start to any practice. You've probably done it dozens, maybe hundreds of times. But what if this pose isn't just a break? What if, when cued intentionally, it can become one of the most powerful postures for deepening body awareness, regulating the nervous system, and setting the tone for the rest of your practice? And just as importantly, what if we stopped assuming that this pose works for everyone? Because for a lot of people, it doesn't feel good. It's not restful and it's definitely not accessible. In this video, we're going to explore why that is and how we can shift the way we think about and teach child's pose so that it's more inclusive, more supportive, and more meaningful. Hi, I'm Crystal Gray, a longtime yoga teacher and yoga teacher trainer. I've helped hundreds of yoga teachers build confidence in their voice, refine their cueing, and teach in a way that's clear, grounded, and inclusive. If you'd like more support in cueing poses just like this one, I created a free downloadable workbook called Clear and Confident Yoga Cues. You can grab it by clicking on the link in the description below. It's packed with 30 practical cues, common cueing mistakes to avoid, and a cue planning worksheet to help you prep for your next class. All right, let's dive in. The problem with default cueing. So often child's pose is presented as the default. Just take child's pose if you want a break. But when we treat it like a throwaway posture or assume that it's universally comfortable or restorative, we can unintentionally ignore the wide range of experiences that are happening in the room. Let's look at how often it plays out. We hear, reach your arms forward. So we extend our arms as far as we can and our shoulders creep up towards our ears. Then instead of relaxing, we're tensing. Or we hear, sit back on your heels. But for many people, especially those with tight hips, knee sensitivity, or a larger body, those hips might not even come close to the heels. And when we're told forehead to the mat, we might crank the neck or strain the spine just to make the shape. What then happens is that the students end up in a version of child's pose that might look right, but it definitely doesn't feel right in their body. We think that we're giving them rest, but we may be creating more tension or triggering discomfort physically or emotionally. So let's change that. Let's rebuild this shape, not as a requirement, but as an invitation. Now you can follow along or just listen and reflect on how you might cue this differently in your own classes. And I'll just warn you, I wouldn't say all of this stuff in a yoga class. A lot of it's just for your information. All right, so start in tabletop. From here, bring your big toes together to touch if that's comfortable, and take your knees a little bit wider than your hips. This variation can create space for the torso and the hips, especially for people with a tummy, tighter hips, or maybe if students are pregnant. And as you begin to move your hips back toward your heels, don't think about arriving in a specific shape. Think about lengthening. Whether or not your hips reach your heels doesn't matter. What does matter is that your spine starts to release slowly and safely. Now walk your hands forward and lightly press your palms into the floor. But here's the key. Instead of reaching with tension, soften the shoulders and gently draw them down the back so that you're in a more neutral position. Let the arms support the shape, not force it. And then if it feels good, begin to melt your chest towards the floor. And if your forehead doesn't touch the mat, that's totally okay. This is where props come in. Place a block or a folded blanket, maybe even stacked fists under the forehead. Support isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's honoring your body and using the practice of yoga how it's intended to bring yourself into balance or into union. Take a moment right here. Let your body tell you how it's feeling rather than assuming it's supposed to feel a certain way. What parts of your body feel like they're releasing? Where do you still feel gripping or strain? Is there a way to modify or shift that would help you feel more supported? These are the questions that deepen your practice, not did I do it right? If something shifts for you, I would love to hear about it in the comments. Your story might help another teacher or student feel more seen. Let's talk about options, because there's no one right way to do this or any pose. Hips not reaching the heels, place a folded blanket or bolster between your seat and your calves. Let your pelvis be supported so your spine can release. Forehead doesn't touch the floor. Place something underneath your forehead. This could be a block or a book if you've got one around, or even your hands stacked underneath. Shoulders feel strained reaching forward. Try sweeping your arms back alongside your body with your palms facing up. This version often feels more restful for people with tight shoulders or limited mobility. Knees uncomfortable? Try placing a blanket under them, or you know what? Skip this pose altogether. Not every pose is going to be for us, and that's okay. Maybe you've got a little bit of a bigger body, a tummy, maybe you're pregnant, or you just need more space. Take your knees as wide as you need so that your body has room to fold without compression. Every version is valid. Every variation is yoga. When we approach child's pose as a choice, not a requirement, and cue it with clarity and intention, it becomes a mirror for the rest of our practice. Here's 4 reasons why that matters. Breath awareness. Folding forward naturally compresses the belly and guides the breath into the back ribs. This helps cultivate back body breath, which supports core awareness, emotional regulation, and depth in other poses. Effort and ease. Even in a resting pose, there's action, reaching, grounding, lengthening, and there's release, softening, surrendering. Learning to balance both is at the heart of a sustainable practice. Nervous system support. Resting your head and softening your face sends powerful signals to your brain. Hey, it's safe to relax and it's safe to slow down. But that only works if the pose is actually comfortable for the person in it. Foundation for alignment. The body positioning and spinal actions in this pose show up again in downward facing dog, other forward folds, even shavasana. So this isn't just a break, it's a rehearsal for everything else. So next time you teach or take child's pose, don't assume it's a resting posture, invite it. Offer options. Explain the why behind the what. Like widen your knees to create space as needed so that your torso has room to fold forward without compression. Use props to support your head and hips so that your body feels grounded and supported, allowing your spine and nervous system to fully release. Lengthen the spine instead of collapsing so that you gently decompress the lower back and create space between each of the vertebrae. Release the shoulders with intention so that you soften habitual tension in your neck and upper back and experience a true sense of ease in the pose. So you're not just giving students a break, you're giving them a space to breathe, feel, and reconnect. And when we teach from that lens, everything shifts. Don't forget to download your free cueing workbook if you haven't already. The link's below in the description. And if this approach helped you see child's pose in a new light, I'd love for you to hit the like button and subscribe. And in the comments, let me know, what pose do you want to understand or cue more clearly? Your input helps me create content that truly supports this community and you. Thanks so much for being here and for showing up for your students in such a thoughtful way. I'll see you next time. Bye.